The night was cold and quiet on Varela Prime. Above the endless dark sky, lightning flashed across the twin moons. The storm howled through the metal canyons of the alien city, shaking tall glass towers that glowed like frozen fire. Then, through the storm clouds, something burned. A small object cut through the sky like a falling star. Its metal shell screamed as it tore through the atmosphere and crashed deep into the desert outside the city walls. The ground shook. Sand turned to glass. Inside the smoking wreck, a man gasped for air. His name was Ethan Cole, the last human from a lost colony ship. His escape pod had been drifting for months. Now it was broken, cracked open by the fall. Ethan coughed, his lungs burning. The air tasted strange, heavy with metal and ozone. He looked around. The sky above was red with lightning and distant towers shimmered with blue lights. He didn't know where he was, he didn't care. He only wanted a place to sleep. His ship had been silent for weeks before the crash. The rest of the crew was gone, frozen in the cold of space, their faces still in his dreams. Now all he wanted was warmth, food, and rest. He pulled himself out of the wreck. His boots sank into the glowing sand. His body ached, and his oxygen meter blinked red. The storm pushed hard against him as he stumbled toward the faint lights of the city. He whispered to himself, "Just a place to sleep. That's all I need." The road was empty. The air buzzed with strange energy. In the distance, shapes moved. Tall, graceful figures with glowing armor. He didn't know it yet, but these were Varelans, the alien rulers of this planet, and none of them had seen a man before. Ethan found a broken tunnel at the city's edge, half covered with sand and metal vines. It looked abandoned. He climbed inside. It was dark, but at least it was dry. He found a corner, tore off a piece of his torn jacket, and laid it under his head like a pillow. As he closed his eyes, the storm outside began to fade. The wind sang through the tunnel like a whisper. For the first time in days, Ethan's breathing slowed. He thought he could finally rest. But something was watching him. At first he felt it. The soft hum in the air, the static along his skin. Then he saw them. Two glowing eyes in the dark. Ethan froze. His heart pounded. He reached for the small plasma cutter on his belt, but his hand shook too much to hold it steady. The eyes blinked once, then again. A soft voice echoed from the shadows, smooth and calm. "You're not from this world." Ethan swallowed hard. "Who's there?" From the darkness, a tall figure stepped forward. She was not human. Her skin was pale silver, her hair like strands of blue glass. She wore armor that shimmered with light, and her eyes glowed like small suns. "My name is Lyra," she said. "You fell from the sky. We saw your fire." Ethan backed away, his pulse racing. "I just need shelter. Food, maybe. I'll leave once I can walk again." Lyra tilted her head. "A human..." She said the word slowly, like tasting it. "We thought your kind were only myths." Ethan frowned. "Myth? There used to be thousands of us, whole colonies. He stopped. His throat tightened. "I'm just the last one." Lyra watched him quietly. Her gaze softened for a moment, then turned sharp again. "You are injured. Come with me. The city will take you in." Ethan hesitated. Something in her tone didn't sound like kindness. It sounded like curiosity, maybe even hunger. "I'm fine here," he said. "Just need a few hours to rest." Lyra stepped closer. "If you stay alone in the dark, the sand beasts will find you. They can smell fear." Ethan stared into her bright eyes. He could tell she wasn't lying. Slowly, he nodded. Lyra reached out a hand. Her touch was cold and soft, like metal silk. She helped him to his feet and led him through the tunnel. Outside, other figures appeared, tall alien women with glowing spears and silver faces. They surrounded him silently. Ethan's heart beat faster. The city gates opened ahead, shining with blue energy. "Where are you taking me?" he asked. Lyra didn't answer. She just smiled slightly and said, "To safety, human. But safety always has a price." As they entered the glowing city, Ethan looked up at the towers of light and floating platforms. The air shimmered with strange sounds, voices, machines, energy. Everything around him felt alive. He should have felt hope. Instead, he felt trapped. And somewhere high above, in the council halls of Varela Prime, alarms flashed red. The Watchers had seen the human arrive. The last man. The key to something ancient. Ethan didn't know it yet. But his wish for a simple place to sleep would soon change the fate of an entire world, and the alien girls of Varela had much bigger plans for him. Ethan's feet dragged across the shining bridge as the alien soldiers led him through the glowing gates of Varela Prime. The storm had ended, but the air still hummed with energy. Giant towers floated in the sky, connected by silver bridges that pulsed with light. Strange winged creatures glided between them like living machines. Everywhere Ethan looked, there were women, tall, elegant, and strong. Their skin shimmered in different colors: silver, violet, blue, gold. No men, not even one. He whispered to himself, "What kind of world is this?" The aliens surrounding him said nothing. Their eyes glowed softly as they moved with perfect rhythm, almost mechanical. The sound of their boots echoed on the metal ground, and every step felt heavier to Ethan. Finally, they stopped before a massive tower shaped like a crystal spear. At its top, a beam of blue light touched the clouds. The door opened without a sound. Inside was brighter, too bright. The air smelled of flowers and static electricity. The walls shifted and moved like liquid glass. Ethan felt small, almost invisible. A voice echoed from above. "Bring the human forward." The soldiers bowed and stepped aside. Ethan looked up and saw her, Commander Lyra, the same alien who had found him in the tunnel. But now she wore a long robe made of flowing light, her armor gone. She stood on a floating platform surrounded by screens showing stars, maps, and symbols he couldn't understand. "You said you wanted a place to rest," she said with a faint smile. "Welcome to my city." Ethan's throat was dry. "What is this place?" "This," Lyra said, walking slowly toward him, "is the heart of Varela Prime, the city of queens." Her voice was calm, but her eyes never stopped studying him. Ethan took a breath. "There are no men here, are there?" Lyra paused. "Not anymore." The room grew silent. Ethan could hear his own heartbeat. She motioned to a small table. Food appeared. Real food. Or something that looked like it. Soft fruit that glowed faintly. A cup filled with blue liquid. "Eat," she said. "You'll need your strength." Ethan stared at the food. His stomach growled, but his mind screamed not to trust her. Still, hunger won. He took a small bite. It tasted like honey and smoke. The drink burned his throat but filled his chest with warmth. Lyra watched him carefully. "You're not like the others from your kind. You survived where most would die." "I didn't survive," Ethan said quietly. "I just didn't stop breathing." Lyra's eyes softened for a moment. Then she turned to the others in the room. More alien women, wearing silver armor with symbols that glowed on their necks. "Leave us," she commanded. They bowed and disappeared through the walls, leaving the two of them alone. Lyra stepped closer. "Tell me, Ethan Cole, how did your people fall?" Ethan's shoulders sank. "War, greed. We built weapons that could kill stars. In the end, the stars killed us back." Lyra nodded slowly, almost sadly. "Our legends spoke of humans, builders, dreamers, destroyers. Some said you were gods once." "I'm no god," he said. "I just wanted a place to sleep." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then you came to the right place. But understand, on Varela Prime, everything has meaning. Even a dream." She walked around him, studying his hands, his face. His heartbeat shone on a floating screen. "Your body carries codes we lost thousands of cycles ago. Human DNA, so rare, so pure. You are a key to something we thought impossible. Ethan frowned. A key? To what? Lyra stopped behind him. Her voice dropped to a whisper. To life itself. He turned quickly, confused. What are you talking about? But before she could answer, another door opened. A younger alien woman entered, shorter, with bright green eyes and a nervous smile. She carried a small tablet covered in glowing lines. Commander, the girl said, the readings are confirmed. His cells are regenerating faster than any known life form. He could restart the sequence. Lyra's eyes brightened. Then it's true. Ethan stepped back. Restart what? What are you people doing? Lyra didn't answer directly. She touched a control on her wrist, and a hologram appeared, a giant seed glowing with light, floating above a dead planet. We once gave life to worlds, she said softly. But now our race cannot reproduce. The cycle of creation is broken. You may be the missing link. Ethan felt cold all over. No, I'm not an experiment. I'm not, Lyra interrupted. You are hope. Her words hung heavy in the air. Ethan turned toward the door. I'm leaving. Lyra's tone turned sharp. Leave, and the wastelands will take you. Stay, and you'll live like royalty. Think carefully, human. Her soldiers appeared again, blocking the exit. Ethan clenched his fists, his heart racing. He could feel it now, the trap closing around him. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes glowing like stars. You fell from the sky, Ethan Cole. You did not come by accident. The stars chose you. He met her gaze, refusing to look away. Then the stars made a mistake. Lyra smiled, a slow, knowing smile. We'll see. Outside the tower, lightning struck again, painting the sky blood red. In the distance, something vast moved beneath the city. A heartbeat deep under the metal ground, waiting to wake. And as Ethan was led away, one thought echoed in his mind. He had wanted a place to sleep. But Varela Prime had other plans. Ethan's room was made of shining glass walls and silver floors. It looked beautiful, but it felt like a cage. Every sound echoed, the hum of machines, the quiet footsteps outside his door. He hadn't seen the sun since he arrived in Varela Prime. Maybe there was no sun at all. The bed was soft, the air clean, and the food perfect. Yet he couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered Lyra's words. You are the key to life itself. What did that mean? He paced the room like a trapped animal. He wanted to escape, but the walls had no doors, only smooth light that sealed him in. When he touched them, they pulsed with energy and pushed his hand back gently, like the planet itself was watching him. Then one night, the wall flickered and someone stepped through. It was Nira, the young alien woman with green eyes who had brought the tablet before. She looked nervous, glancing around before whispering, Be quiet. If they hear me, I'll be punished. Ethan stood still. What do you want? She held out a small device like a silver coin glowing faintly. If you want the truth, she said. Follow me. He hesitated for a moment, but curiosity burned inside him. He pressed the coin against his wrist and his body shimmered. He was invisible. Nira smiled softly. It hides you from the Watchers. Now come. They moved through the glowing corridors. Strange machines hummed along the walls filled with bright blue liquid. The air was cold and smelled like metal and flowers. They went deeper underground, passing guards who never looked their way. Finally, they reached a huge circular door covered with ancient symbols. Nira placed her hand on it and the metal opened with a low hiss. Welcome, she whispered, to the breeding vaults. Ethan stepped inside and froze. Rows upon rows of glass pods stretched as far as he could see. Inside each one floated an alien woman, unmoving, asleep, glowing faintly. Tubes ran into the walls, pulsing like veins. The sound of soft breathing filled the air. What is this? Ethan whispered. Nira's voice shook. They are the unborn. Our future. Or what's left of it. The Varelans cannot give life anymore. The ancient machines keep our race alive, but the code is broken. Every generation, fewer are born. Ethan stared in horror. You're trying to grow people in machines? She nodded. Yes, but it no longer works. The life code, the pattern that makes us alive, has faded. That's why Lyra needs you. Human DNA carries something we lost long ago. He shook his head. No, I'm not part of this. I didn't come here to be some kind of experiment. Nira stepped closer, her green eyes full of worry. You don't understand. Lyra believes you can restart the cycle. If she's right, your blood can rebuild the Virellan race. Ethan looked at the sleeping figures in the pods. And if she's wrong? Nira hesitated. Then you'll die. Silence filled the room. The sound of the machines felt louder now, like whispers in the dark. Ethan clenched his fists. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't trust her, Nira said. Lyra isn't saving us. She's trying to control us. If she can create life again, she'll be queen forever. No one will stop her, Ethan's mind raced. So you want me to do what? Destroy this place? No, she said. You can't. The vaults are tied to the planet's core. If they die, Virella dies with them. Ethan turned toward the rows of pods again. Each one looked peaceful, like sleeping children. So no matter what I do, someone loses. Nira nodded sadly. Yes, but you have a choice. Help Lyra, or help us stop her. He rubbed his face, breathing heavily. I don't even know what's real anymore. Nira touched his arm. You're real. That's enough. Before he could answer, alarms screamed through the chamber. Red lights flashed. She knows. Nira gasped. Run! They ran through the tunnels as armored guards appeared from every direction. Energy blasts hit the walls, lighting up the corridor. Nira pressed a button on her device, opening a hidden hatch in the floor. Go! She shouted. Ethan jumped in, landing hard on metal pipes below. Nira followed, sealing the hatch above them. The noise of the guards faded, replaced by the echo of dripping water. Ethan leaned against the wall, gasping. What now? Nira whispered. Now you hide. Lyra won't kill you, not yet. But when she finds you, she'll make you believe she's the hero. Don't trust her. She handed him a small, glowing crystal. This holds the coordinates to the old chambers. The truth about what happened to your people might be there. Before Ethan could speak, footsteps echoed above. Nira looked up, fear in her eyes. Go, human. Find the truth, before the queens do. Then she vanished back into the shadows, leaving Ethan alone in the dark tunnels. He looked at the crystal in his hand. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside him, he felt the same rhythm. He was done running. If this world wanted him to be their key, then he would open every locked door. But as he climbed deeper into the tunnels, a thought haunted him. What if the real secret of the breeding vaults wasn't about creating life, but taking it? And for the first time, Ethan wasn't sure who the monsters really were. The tunnels beneath Virella Prime stretched like veins through the planet. Ethan walked for hours, guided only by the faint blue pulse of the crystal Nira had given him. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. The walls hummed with life, as if the city above was breathing through them. Every step echoed in the dark. He could still hear Nira's words in his mind. Don't trust her. Ethan wasn't sure who to trust anymore. Lyra had saved him from the storm but locked him inside her shining prison. Nira had helped him escape but left him with more questions than answers. And now, somewhere above, an army of alien queens searched for him. The last human, the key to their dying world. He tightened his grip on the crystal and whispered, I didn't ask for this. The tunnel suddenly split into 3 paths. The middle one glowed faintly, a trail of moving lights almost like a signal. Ethan followed it. The air grew warmer. Soon he reached a massive metal door covered with ancient human symbols. His breath caught. English, he whispered. The markings were human, carved long ago. He placed his hand on the door. The crystal pulsed brighter. A voice spoke from the walls. Mechanical, distorted, but human. DNA match detected. Welcome, survivor. The door slid open. Inside was a huge underground hangar filled with old human machines, ships, drones, and broken pods covered in dust. The sign above the entrance read, Terra Mission Project New Eden. Ethan's knees nearly gave out. He remembered those words. Project New Eden, the dream of his ancestors. They had wanted to build peace between humans and alien species to share life and knowledge. But the mission had vanished from history. Now here it was, buried beneath an alien city. He walked among the ruins, brushing his fingers across old metal, faded logos, and cracked glass. Then he saw something glowing in the corner, a pod still active, its screen blinking weakly. Ethan pressed a button and a hologram flickered to life. It showed a human woman in a white suit, her face calm but tired. If anyone finds this, know that the Virellans were not our enemies, the recording said. They were our partners. But something changed in their core systems. The breeding program was meant to preserve both species, not control them. Commander Lyra betrayed the pact. She took our genetic code and sealed the vaults. Humanity was erased. The hologram flickered out. Ethan stood still, the truth burning in his chest. She killed us, he whispered. She ended everything. A cold voice came from behind him. Not everything, human, he turned. Lyra stood at the entrance of the chamber, surrounded by guards. Her armor glowed with pale light. You were never supposed to see this place. Ethan backed away. You lied to me. You said you wanted peace. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. And I do. But peace requires control. The old humans couldn't understand that. Ethan clenched his fists. You destroyed them. You destroyed us. They destroyed themselves, Lyra replied. I only made sure the cycle would continue. She stepped closer, her voice soft and cold. Don't you see, Ethan? You are not our prisoner. You are our continuation. Your blood carries what our race has lost. Together we can rebuild both species, a new Eden, as it was meant to be. Ethan shook his head. You don't want life. You want power. Lyra smiled sadly. Power is life. Without warning, Ethan threw the glowing crystal against the floor. It shattered, releasing a surge of energy. The ground trembled. The human machines came alive, lights flickering, engines humming after centuries of silence. Lyra shouted, Stop him! Ethan ran toward an old hovercraft, climbing into its cracked cockpit. Alarms screamed as the hangar shook. Guards fired energy blasts, lighting up the air with blue fire. Ethan slammed the controls. The engines roared to life. The hovercraft lifted, shaking dust into the air. He steered it toward the open tunnel, heart pounding. Lyra raised her hand, summoning energy from her armor, but it was too late. The craft shot forward, blasting through the tunnels in a storm of light. Outside, the city of Virella glimmered like a dream. Towers of silver stretched toward the red sky. Ethan burst from the underground, racing through the neon streets. Alarms echoed across the city. Drones swarmed around him, firing beams that scorched the air. He dodged and weaved between glowing buildings. I'm not your key, he muttered, gripping the controls. I'm your mistake. The hovercraft sped toward the city's outer ring where a glowing wall of energy guarded the skies. Behind him, Lyra's voice echoed through the comms. You can't escape, Ethan. You belong to this world now. He looked at the stormy horizon, dark clouds and lightning waiting beyond the barrier. Then I'll take your world with me. He slammed the throttle. The hovercraft hit the energy wall. Light exploded everywhere. For a moment, everything went white, then silent. When the light faded, the hovercraft was gone. Only smoke drifted through the cracked sky. High above the city, Lyra watched from her tower. Her eyes narrowed. He's alive, she whispered. The system felt his pulse. She turned toward the horizon. Run, human. But wherever you go, the stars will guide you back. Far beyond the city, in the endless desert, a single flare of blue light flickered, a sign that Ethan Cole had survived. He crawled out of the wreck, blood on his lips, sand in his hair. The wall had broken, and so had the lie. He looked up at the twin moons and whispered, You wanted a key? You got one. And as the wind howled over the dunes, Ethan began his next journey, not to escape, but to fight back. The desert of Virella Prime stretched endlessly under a dark violet sky. The twin moons floated high above like silent watchers. Ethan Cole staggered through the sand, his breath heavy and shallow. His hovercraft lay behind him, half buried and burning. He was alive, but barely. The wind howled across the dunes, carrying whispers, voices that sounded almost human, almost machine. Every grain of sand seemed alive, humming with strange energy. Ethan didn't understand it, but he could feel the planet breathing under his feet. He stumbled toward the distant horizon. The city lights of Virella Prime glowed far behind him, like a ghost that refused to die. His body ached, his lips cracked, and his eyes burned. He didn't know where to go. All he knew was that Lyra had lied, and now he would never let her control him again. After hours of walking, he saw something ahead, a dark structure rising from the sand. It looked ancient, built long before the shining towers of the city. Massive black stones formed an entrance covered in glowing symbols that pulsed faintly when he approached. The ground trembled softly. Ethan hesitated, then stepped closer. If this kills me, he muttered, at least I'll die free. The symbols flared with bright light and the door opened on its own. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of old earth. The chamber was filled with strange machines, half broken, covered in dust, but still alive with a low hum. At the center of the room stood a tall crystal pillar. Inside it glowed the same color as the device Nira had given him. His heart pounded. He reached out and touched it. Suddenly, light wrapped around him. The world exploded into color and sound. Ethan saw flashes, human faces, alien cities, stars being born and dying. He saw Lyra's face, young and hopeful, standing beside human scientists in white suits. They smiled once. Then everything turned red. A voice echoed inside his head, cold, ancient, and powerful. The sequence must continue. Human core detected, initiating restoration. Ethan screamed as the light poured into his body. His veins glowed blue, his heart pounded like thunder, and his mind filled with fragments of code and memory. He fell to his knees, gasping, clutching his chest as the light crawled across his skin. Images flooded his thoughts. Machines rebuilding themselves, worlds reborn, life codes written in fire. The knowledge felt alive inside him, like a storm that wouldn't end. When it was over, he collapsed. For a long time, there was only silence. Then a soft voice spoke. "You should not have done that." Ethan turned his head weakly. Nira stood in the doorway, her green eyes glowing faintly in the dark. How did you find me?" he whispered. She walked toward him, her steps quiet. "The desert listens. And so do I." She knelt beside him, scanning his body with a small device. Her eyes widened. "Your cells, they're changing. You're not just human anymore." Ethan tried to sit up, but his muscles shook. "It wasn't my choice. The machine, it forced something into me." Nira looked afraid now. "Then it has begun." "The experiment. What experiment?" She hesitated. "The old humans called it the Eden sequence. It was a way to combine your kind and ours, to create a being that could survive anywhere, heal anything, live forever. But it was never completed. Until now." Ethan stared at his glowing hands. "You mean it's turning me into one of you?" "Not one of us," she whispered. "Something greater, something we were never meant to be." He felt anger rising in his chest. "Lyra wanted this, didn't she?" "Yes," Nira said. "But she didn't expect you to survive. The sequence was supposed to kill you first and then use your code." Ethan's eyes darkened. "Then I'll return the favor." Nira looked at him in shock. "You can't fight her. The city belongs to her. The towers, the soldiers, even the sky machines obey her mind." Ethan stood slowly, the light in his veins pulsing brighter. "Then I'll take the one thing she can't control." "What's that?" He looked up. "Free will." The chamber shook again. The machines around them powered up, responding to Ethan's presence. Ancient metal shifted, forming new shapes. A hologram flickered in the air, a map of Varela Prime. The city's power grid pulsed in red, and at its center glowed a massive structure labeled the Core. Nira pointed to it. "That's where she draws her strength. If you reach it, you could shut her down, or destroy yourself trying." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Then that's where I'm going." Nira grabbed his arm. "If you go there, she'll find you. She can feel every heartbeat on this planet." Ethan looked down at her hand, then back at the glowing map. "Then I'll make sure she feels mine." The light in the chamber flared once more, wrapping around him like a living flame. His wounds closed. His strength returned. The machines seemed to bow as he walked past them, their lights following him like loyal ghosts. Nira watched, fear and awe mixing in her eyes. "You're not human anymore, Ethan." He stopped at the door and looked back. "Then maybe that's what it takes to save them." Outside, the desert wind rose again, carrying dust and sparks into the sky. Ethan stepped into the storm, his body glowing faintly against the darkness. Somewhere far above, in her shining tower, Lyra opened her eyes. "He's awake," she whispered. "The experiment has begun." Varela Prime was no longer quiet. The city that once shone like a perfect jewel now trembled under fire and storm. Drones screamed through the air, their silver wings flashing against red lightning. Towers flickered as energy lines broke one by one. And above it all, the voice of Commander Lyra echoed across the sky, calm, powerful, and full of fury. "Find the human. Bring him to me alive." Her words rolled like thunder. Down in the streets, Ethan Cole moved through smoke and chaos. The once perfect city was tearing itself apart. Half of the alien factions still served Lyra. The others, the lower castes, the ones she called unfit, had turned against her rule. They had seen Ethan's image on their networks, glowing veins, human eyes burning like fire. They called him the hybrid, the one who carried both bloods, the rebirth of balance. He hadn't asked to be anyone's symbol. But now there was no way back. Beside him ran Nira, her green eyes sharp with fear and determination. She carried a stolen pulse rifle and guided him through the burning alleys. "The whole city's divided," she said between breaths. "Lyra's own generals have broken away. They want freedom, not another queen." Ethan nodded. "Then we use that." They stopped at the base of a shattered bridge where a group of rebels waited. Alien women dressed in cracked armor, their weapons glowing faintly. Their leader, Saris, had scars across her silver face and fire in her voice. "You're the human," she said, lowering her weapon. "The one she wanted to own?" Ethan nodded. "I'm the one who said no." The alien soldiers exchanged looks, some of fear, others of respect. Saris stepped closer. "Lyra calls you a disease, but if you can bleed, you can lead." Ethan looked at the sky where floating ships clashed above the towers. "I don't want to lead anyone," he said softly. "I just want to end this." "Then end it," Saris said. "Destroy her core." Nira turned to him. "She's right. The core powers her mind link. Break that and she loses control of the armies." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then we go through the center." The rebels prepared their weapons. The air crackled with heat. Ethan felt the pulse in his veins again, the alien light growing stronger. Every heartbeat seemed to echo with the rhythm of the city itself. The machines around him reacted to his presence, walls shifting, lights dimming, drones pausing mid-flight. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was connected to everything. They moved as one, slipping through the streets like shadows. Explosions boomed in the distance and the sky bled with fire. Ethan could feel the pain of the city. The machines crying out, the towers collapsing, the chaos spreading like wildfire. At the edge of the central platform, a massive structure rose into the storm. The core spire, Lyra's living fortress. It was made of black metal and glowing nerves that pulsed like a heartbeat. Nira looked at him. "If you go in there, she'll see every thought you have." Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. "Then I'll make sure she sees what I came for." They stormed the gates. The guards were ready. Elite warriors in silver armor, their eyes blank with Lyra's control. The fight was brutal. Energy blasts tore through the air. The rebels fought fiercely, their battle cries echoing in the storm. Ethan moved like lightning, his body glowing brighter with every strike. The power of the sequence pulsed through him, healing wounds, bending metal, shattering drones. Saris was hit, falling to her knees. Ethan caught her as she bled silver light. "Go," she whispered. "End her rule." He laid her down gently, then looked at Nira. "Stay with them." "I finish this," she grabbed his hand. "If you die, this war dies with you." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then I guess I'll have to live." He ran through the broken gates into the core spire. Inside it was alive, walls moving like muscle, lights pulsing like veins. Every sound was Lyra's heartbeat. Her voice filled the air, calm and cruel. "You can't destroy perfection, Ethan. You are perfection, my creation." He shouted, "I'm no one's creation." The walls closed around him, forming a path that led to a massive chamber. At its center floated the core, a glowing sphere of light surrounded by energy strands that looked like webbed stars. And there stood Lyra. Her armor had changed, sleek, dark, almost human. Her eyes glowed with twin fires. "You're too late," she said. "The sequence is complete. You and I are one." Ethan felt his chest burn, the same energy inside him pulling toward the core. His body shook. "Get out of my head!" Lyra smiled. "Why would I leave my own mind?" He dropped to his knees, gripping his skull as flashes of memory hit him. Lyra's past, the old scientists, the betrayal, the wars. He saw her loneliness, her fear of death, her obsession with control. Then something inside him snapped. The power that once hurt him now obeyed. He stood tall, his body glowing bright blue. "You wanted to use me. But you forgot one thing," Lyra frowned. "What's that?" "I'm human. I fight back." He thrust his hand toward the core. Energy exploded through the room. The walls cracked, the light burst outward. Lyra screamed as her link shattered, her soldiers across the city collapsing as their control vanished. Outside, the rebels saw the sky shift. The energy grid flickered and went dark. The storm stopped. The city went silent. Ethan fell to the ground, smoke rising from his skin. Lyra lay nearby, her armor broken, her glow fading. She looked at him weakly and whispered, "You don't understand. Without me, Varela will die." Ethan looked at her with tired eyes. Then maybe it's time it lived free. He turned away as the core spire began to collapse, fire and light swallowing the sky. Outside, Nira saw the explosion and covered her eyes. "He did it," she whispered. But deep in the burning heart of the tower, Ethan was still moving, toward one final light that refused to die. The city of Varela Prime was burning. From the deserts to the silver towers, smoke rose into the violet sky. The great core spire had fallen, torn open from within. Lightning no longer danced above the city. Only silence remained, heavy and strange, like the world was holding its breath. In the center of the ruins, surrounded by broken glass and ash, Ethan Cole opened his eyes. He was alive. Somehow, the blast had thrown him deep into the shattered chamber. The once glowing core now flickered weakly beside him, its light dim, its heartbeat slowing. Around him, the floor pulsed faintly as if the planet itself was dying. Ethan pushed himself up, wincing. His hands glowed faintly blue. His veins shimmered beneath his skin like rivers of light. He could still feel the energy of the sequence, but now it was quiet, almost peaceful. Then he saw her. Lyra lay a few meters away, half buried under fallen metal. Her armor was cracked, her silver skin streaked with black veins. The once powerful commander now looked fragile, almost human. Her eyes flickered open when she heard him move. "You should have left me to die," she whispered. Ethan stood, breathing hard. "And become like you?" "No thanks," she tried to laugh, but it came out weak. "You don't understand. When the core dies, the planet dies too. Everything, every city, every being, it will fade." Ethan stared at the dying glow around them. The hum beneath the ground was fading with every second. "Then how do I stop it?" he asked. Lyra looked at him for a long moment, pain in her eyes. "You can't stop it, Ethan, but—" "You can replace it," he frowned. "Replace it? With what?" "Yourself," she said quietly. "The core was made from the same ancient code that lives inside you now. You carry its seed, human and Varellan, joined in one form. If you connect yourself to the core, the city will live. But you won't," Ethan froze. "You're saying I'll die?" Lyra nodded slowly. "You'll become part of it, not dead but not alive either. The system will use your mind to rebuild the balance. You'll keep this world breathing. Forever." He looked around. The shattered walls, the broken machines, the silence of a dying world. Then he thought of Nira, the rebels, the people who had fought for freedom. They deserved a chance to live. He sighed. "You were right about one thing," he said softly. "Power is life, but life isn't power." Lyra's eyes softened. "You would sacrifice yourself. For us?" Ethan knelt beside her. "Not for you, for them. For the chance that maybe your people can start over without control, without lies." She reached up, her hand trembling, touching his cheek. "You're more Virellan than any of us ever were." He smiled faintly. "No, I'm human. That's what makes me dangerous." Then he stood and walked to the glowing core. The air shimmered around him. The ancient symbols lit up one by one as if the machine recognized him. Behind him, Lyra called weakly, "If you do this, you'll never see the stars again." Ethan placed his glowing hands on the core and looked back at her. "I already did." He closed his eyes. The core pulsed once, then exploded with light. Blue and gold energy shot through the city, racing through the towers, the streets, the air. Every broken circuit came alive. Every dark tower lit again. The dead drones lifted into the air and stopped firing. In the desert, Nira fell to her knees as the ground trembled beneath her. The light spread across the horizon like sunrise. "Ethan," she whispered. Above her, the twin moons glowed brighter than ever. Inside the core chamber, Ethan's body began to dissolve into light. He felt no pain, only warmth. The walls around him rebuilt themselves, shining like crystal. The machine's voice, calm and ancient, spoke in his mind. Sequence complete. Balance restored. Ethan saw flashes. Virellan children laughing, cities growing again, the desert turning green. He saw Nira leading a council of free queens. He saw peace. Then one final voice, Lyra's. You did what I couldn't, you let go. He smiled in the light. Guess that makes us even. And then everything went silent. Years later, the people of Varela told stories about the man from the stars, the one who fell from the sky and saved their world. They built a monument in the heart of the new city, a tall crystal statue that glowed faintly blue every night. They said the light was his heartbeat still guiding them. Nira often visited it, placing her hand on the cold glass. You wanted a place to sleep, she would whisper, smiling sadly. Now the whole world dreams because of you. Above her, the moons reflected in the crystal. And somewhere deep inside, a soft voice, Ethan's voice, whispered back, "Keep them free." The wind carried her tears away. The world lived on. The stars shone brighter. And though the last human was gone, his spirit burned forever, in every heartbeat of Varela Prime.